Hello and welcome to another edition of An English Guy Watching Wrestling. I'm an English Guy, I'm Nick. Thank you so much for clicking on another video. And in this one, we're going to be covering the 17th of May 2021 edition of AEW Dark Elevation. So with that being said, jump right into it. Opening matchup was between Jungle Boy and Adrian Alanis. Now, Adrian Alanis has been in AEW before, and I'm going to call Jungle Boy the most tenured veteran in all elite wrestling because basically put, he's had more matches than anybody else in AEW, and he's one of their very best, no doubts about it, and he proved it in this match. Even though it wasn't the longest match, Jungle Boy picking the win up with the snare trap was always cool to see, and he proves to be one of the most popular wrestlers in all of AEW. And Alliance did do some decent stuff in this match, but it was mostly Jungle Boy, so it wasn't quite a squash match, but Jungle Boy won in a fashion that was considered to be quite entertaining. So let's put it that way. The snare trap, always good. The next match was Dustin Rhodes versus Aaron Seidel, and this honestly was one of my matches of the night. And considering the feud between the Nightmare Factory and the Factory, for those who don't know, the Factory was part of the Nightmare Factory. The Nightmare Factory has head trainers of Dustin Rhodes, Garcia, Cody Rhodes, and I think someone else. I'm not too sure. And the Factory was part of the Nightmare Factory, but decided to go their own way when QT Marshall didn't think it's been appreciated enough in AEW, considering he's one of the hardest working guys behind the scenes and in front of the camera, to be honest. Considering the feud in this regard was very well told between Dustin and Aaron Solo, this was a very, very good match. Dustin Rhodes, of course, tenured veteran of 30 years plus by now, doing a great job as always. And Aaron Solo, I think he's been going for a while too, but he looks just as played in that ring as Dustin Rhodes did. This was a very, very good match. I enjoyed the work rate between these two, and it worked to build the rivalry even more, I think. And I don't think it's going to be the end of it. I think there are going to be more matches between the Nightmare Factory and the Factory down the line. But this was a very, very good way to continue it. Dustin Rhodes proving once again just how good he is. Aaron Solo putting one of his best performances in AEW to date, I think. I think he has a real chance to go further and further. And I said, I really enjoyed the work rate between these two. They just clicked instantly. Of course, Dustin Rhodes is a trainer. Aaron Solo was training at the Nightmare Factory. So, of course, they know each other very, very well. And it showed in this match. It was a really, really good match. So, definitely check this one out to see just a really good match overall. So, great stuff between Dustin and Aaron Solo. Well done. And this match was a tag match between Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston versus Danny Limelight and Royce Isaacs. Now, of course, when you see Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston as a tag team, it just works because obviously they've got a lot of history in wrestling and with each other, quite a lot of independent scene as opponents, as of course as tag team partners. So to see them as the tag team partners in AEW is great to watch. And this wasn't, I'm not going to call it a squash match to be honest, because they did give their opponents a chance to do some stuff. Especially Danny Limelight, who has faced Jon Moxley before in a very, very good match. And Danny Limelight is one of the best in AEW, to be honest. Even though he's not signed, he's very, very good. And he showed that against Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley. Not to say Royce didn't get some stuff in himself, because he did. But it was a very good match overall. Not the longest match, not quite a squash match, as I said, but a fun match all the same. So entertaining stuff from all four men here. So well done. And this match was another match of the night, not quite as at the top, but close to it, I will say that, between Lance Archer and Bear Bronson. Now, again, we're seeing big guys show what they can do in the ring, and this was no different. And I will say, credit where credit's due. Even though Lance Archer did get, I'd say about 60% of the offense in the match, Bear Bronson did a very good job too. And this was another great example of two big guys coming together and just putting on a hard-hitting, big lads wrestling match, as they say. I don't know who started it, but I'm saying it now. But I really enjoyed this one, to be fair. It was a good, hard-hitting match that, when you've got two guys of this size, it's going to work. And it works very, very well here. I liked the exchanges between these two. And basically, the blackout by Lance Archer on the guy the size of Bear Bronson is a sight to behold. And he hit it very, very well. And again, Lance Archer shows us he's one of the very best in AEW because of his size and his power. He can move very, very well, and he's got the ability to wrestle to back it up. And Bear Bronson put on a very good match here too. And they were really going at each other in this one. That's what you like to see when it comes to big guys like this having a go in a match. Really enjoyable stuff. So this was a good match. I wouldn't mind seeing more matches like this in AEW. Lance Archer against a guy maybe a little bit bigger in terms of weight, but not quite in terms of the height, because I think he's legitimately the tallest guy on the roster. He's a huge guy on Sacha. But I really enjoyed this one, so definitely thumbs up to both men for producing a very good match here. And this match was Leyla Hirsch versus Natalia Markova, making an AEW Dark Elevation debut. And I'd heard of Natalia Markova, but never seen her wrestle before. And this was a quick match, to be completely fair. Leyla Hirsch, is one of the most reliable female wrestlers in the world right now. You're never going to get a bad match from her because of just how good her wrestling ability is. Obviously, the amateur background's there. And she just goes very, very well in the ring. And she showed it in, as I said, she's the shortest competitor in the women's division, but don't know that for you. She is explosive. No pun intended. The dynamite pun. But she was very good, and it was a short match with cross-arm breaker winning the match, but Leyla Hirsch, once again, just showing how good she is, so can't fault that. Thumbs up. And this match was Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky versus Jaden Brandon, and Trevin Jordan. Now, this was, again, a perfect example of Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky just clicking as a tag team after the AEW Face Revolution, my apologies, tag ladder match. And what I was going to say about these two, I just really like them as a tag team. I didn't expect them to ever be a tag team in the first place, but it works, and I'm all for it. And they're racking up the wins. And, I think it won't be too long before you see them get a chance at the AEW tag team titles. I wouldn't mind seeing it. Scorpio Sky has quite a lot of history with the Young Bucks. Ethan Page, I'm not sure if he does, to be completely honest, but I wouldn't be against seeing this match at all. But I really liked this one. Kind of a squash match, I'll say that, but of course, Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page winning again was a great call, and they're continuing the momentum. And as a tag team, they just work, and they've been proving it. So thumbs up to that. So, what up? And this match was Kaiden King versus The Bunny, and I really like this one too. This wasn't quite match of the night, but it was getting towards the top. The Bunny, since she's had a chance to wrestle more, has been showing just what kind of character he is. Those who know her work in the past just know. She just works with that little tilt of the head. It just is creepy, but it's very, very entertaining, and it works against I think, legitimately the tallest member of the females division, Kaiden King, and a woman who's really starting to show what she can do in 2021. And this was a good match too. And I think Bunny winning was the right call. Not to say that Kaiden King did not get a good match here, because she did. And the Bunny just showing her momentum and starting to build and build and build. And her winning with a foreign object handed to her by her Hardy Family Organization was great. And it's just something I didn't expect. I expected Bunny to get a clean win, or dirty tactics, but not in that way. Not faulting it. And I enjoyed this match, to be fair. And again, a great advertisement for the women's division in AEW. So definitely thumbs up to that. And this match was the Acclaimed of Anthony Bowens and Matt Caster versus Kevin Bennett and Kevin Blackwood. Now, of course, I'm very familiar with Kevin Bennett and Blackwood. I've seen them wrestle many times in Smash Wrestling in Canada. I think they're very, very good. And it's good to see them get a chance in AEW. And the good thing is, this is absolutely true. Kevin Bennett is also a rapper, a producer. Of course, Matt Caster is also a rapper. So even though they didn't have a rap battle, Matt Caster kind of coming and going. Mike Bennett was quite funny. But I enjoyed this tag match as well. It was a good, fun tag match. And even though the Acclaimed are one of the most entertaining tag teams in AEW, they're just picking up momentum as time goes on. And of course, I've said it before, Anthony Bowens returning from injury is like he's never left. And that's always good to see. And no ring rust in a strange roundabout way because of the way they work together. But I enjoyed this. And Blackwood and Bennett did a good showing here too, because I've said I'm familiar with them. I've seen them wrestle before. I know they're both good. But even though it was mostly Acclaimed, it was still a fun tag match. So good to see that. And the Acclaimed picking up another win. So I can't fault that. And this match was another match of the night contender for me. Baron Black versus QT Marshall. Now, Baron Black has always been one of those guys in AEW that has been on the precipice of building and building and building, because when you give him the opportunity and longer matches and see what he can do some very good stuff, and he did that against QT Marshall. And this was a very good back and forth match. Again, the Factory and again Nightmare Factory having to go at each other, because I'm almost positive Baron Black is part of the Nightmare Factory. If not, fine. But I really couldn't fault this match. It was a very good back and forth match, wrestling wise, and Baron Black put in legitimately one of his best performances in AEW to date, and I think he was really shining brightly in this one. QT Marshall, one of the most reliable wrestlers, as I say, one of the hardest working in front of the camera and behind the camera, showed what he can do here too. And this was a legitimate way of showing what a guy like Baron Black can do, and against a veteran like QT Marshall, who did very, very well. And the diamond cut out of nowhere win for QT Marshall was the right call because, as I said, it was back and forth. It could have gone either way towards the end, but it's that kind of thing you like to see from a guy from Baron Black who's getting the chance to show more and more what he can do. I'm all for it, and he did very well. But so did QT Marshall. This was a great continuation of the feud between the Nightmare Factory and the Factory, and another legitimate match of the night contender. So can't fault that. Thumbs up for both men for producing a quality match. And this match was Daniel Garcia versus Joey Janela. And Daniel Garcia is another guy I'm familiar with. I've seen Slash Wrestling. And one of the most serious wrestlers I think I've seen in the independent scene. You know, I don't think he even smiles. But against a guy who likes to smile a lot, Joey Janela, fun-loving, and of course the bad boy. Everyone who knows who Joey Janela is know he's got such a history in wrestling and doing stuff no one's ever done before. And you can't fault that. And this was actually quite a good match. And Joey Janela giving a chance to Daniel Garcia to show what he can do was also very, very good. I liked this matchup quite a bit. And Joey and Daniel just worked very well together because Daniel being very serious, Joey Janela more fun-loving sometimes, it showed in this match, but he can go as well, and he's no slouch in the ring, and he proved it here. Even though Joey won the matchup, Daniel Garcia lost nothing in defeat, and again, I think you might be seeing more of him in AEW, which I'll be all for. So I enjoyed this one. Good match between two good wrestlers. Joey Janela winning was a good thing, and definite continuation of his running in AEW. So can't fault that. Thumbs up. This match was between Private Party and Alex Reynolds and Alan Five Angels, continuing the feud of the Dark Order and HFO. And I really like this tag match, to be fair. I thought the heel work from HFO was great. Matt Hardy and the Bunny and the Blade were ejected from ringside at the very start of the match, but Matt Hardy stuck back after with the referee's back was turned and managed to hit a diamond cut, so he hit the twist of fate on Alex Reynolds to pick up the win. So the wins between both factions go back and forth, and of course maybe sets up a future matchup for Alex Reynolds versus Matt Hardy in the future, which I'd like to see, to be honest. But again, this was a really good tag match, and I enjoyed how all four men worked with each other. The heel tactics and Private Party, perhaps the most beloved faction in all of AEW, the Dark Order, showing what they can do. And I thought this was a very good continuation of the feud. I think it's going to get better from here on in because so far it has been entertaining. This was no different. I liked it. And definite thumbs up to all four men for producing a good tag match and a good ending, which I think had the right result because, as I said, it's been even so far. So to continue the even standings has been something that's been worthwhile watching and the right call. So can't fault that. And then the next match was a tag match. Ryan Nemeth and JD Drake versus Derek Pistaro. I can always I'm very, very, very bad at names. Versus Roman Rosell, and Derek Pistaro was with First Sergeant. And basically, this was Roman and Derek's first match in AEW, making their tag team debut. And apparently, they're all former soldiers. I'm not too sure, or they served in some way. But there you go. Which is why they looked like they were part of a unit, shall we say? And of course, Ryan Nemeth and JD Drake are just forming a faction. I don't know what their faction between Nemeth, Drake, Avalon, and Benoni is called. I really don't. But if it's got a name, it's just entertaining. And JD Drake starting to warm up to them is just been good to watch. And him and Nemeth as a tag team work as well, to be fair. Nemeth in the past has tagged with others in their group, but those two just work. And because of the fantastic athleticism of Ryan Nemeth and the hard-hitting offense, and no joke, high-flying ability of JD Drake, it works. And I liked these two as a tag team, and they won the matchup, and I was happy they did because they've been going from strength to strength to strength. And honestly, for me, I want the highlights of AEW Dark programming because they're not just on Elevation, AEW Dark as well, and hopefully get a chance to show what they can do on Dynamite because JD Drake did against Darby Allin in a fantastic TNT title match when Darby was champion. But again, I really enjoyed this one. Couldn't fault it. And I liked the work rate from all 4 men in this one, and the opponents did show some good stuff. But Nemeth and Drake won in the end, with Drake hitting a very beautiful moonsault from the top rope. So can't fault that. Thumbs up indeed. And this match was Tay Conti versus Kia Dream, making her AEW debut, and I think she's a student of Devon Dudley's wrestling school, if memory serves correctly. And Tay Conti, I've said it before, and I'll say it again, the most improved female wrestler in AEW in 2021. Had a very good match here. Even though it wasn't the longest match, again, she started to show more and more offense as weeks go on. It wasn't the longest match, but she did some things in this match I've never seen her do before. Briefly won in a short match with the DD tie. Basically a squash match, to be fair. But you know what? Tay Conti showing what she can do more and more each week in different things. It's definitely a good thing. So thumbs up for that. And the next match was El Pensa El Zero Miedo versus Alex Abrahantes. And Pensa, I've said it before again, is one of the hardest hitters at AEW, and honestly, one of my favorite trios in wrestling right now. Death Triangle, because him, Pac, and Ray Phoenix are great. And even though this was a short match, Pensa showed what he can do, and definitely is a heck of a wrestler. So my apologies, it's Pensa El Zero Miedo versus Robo. My apologies. He was along with Alex Abrahantes, Pensa. My apologies. I do apologise about that. My phone did something weird because it didn't go all the way down. There we go. Okay, no, it didn't. But no, this was actually a fun match, and Pensa picking up the win with the Fear Factor package power driver is always entertaining to watch because it's one of the best in the business. But Pensa winning in a fairly short match, not the longest match, was cool stuff. And Robo did show some decent ability in his debut, but unfortunately it was mostly a squash match, as I said. So, but there you go, Pensa picking up another win. Always good to see because I love Pensa, I really do. And this match was Thunder Rosa versus Robin Renegade, and if Tay Conti is the most improved wrestler in 2021, the star of the female division, apart from Tay Conti and Britt Baker, has been Thunder Rosa. And her getting chance after chance in AEW is something I'm all for, because I think she's great. And she belongs in AEW, even though she's not signed, because I think she's still signed to NWA at the moment. Is always good to see, but you know what? Thunder Rosa is always going to be welcome there because her work rate has always been fantastic. Even though she's not been wrestling very long, 6 years I think, you would never guess it. She just belongs in that ring. Against a very game Robin Renegade, and Thunder Rosa picked up the win in her very unique submission move, which I cannot remember the name of, unfortunately. But her picking up the win again, can't fault it, so thumbs up for that. Which brought us to the main event. It was Mike Seidel, my apologies, versus Brian Cage. And Brian Cage, as of late, has been a bit of a terror in AEW after him beating Hangman Page, which was a surprise to a lot of people, including me, was some building block for what he's doing. He's starting to pick up more and more wins, and he did in this match against a great game, Mike Seidel. But Brian Cage is arguably the strongest man in all AEW, and he showed it in this one. He's no slouch when it comes to power division or the athleticism. Against a game, Mike Seidel. Brian Cage winning was the right call, but not to say Mike Seidel didn't get some decent offense in. It was kind of a squash match in a small roundabout way. Brian Cage winning with a move I can't remember the name of. He's done it before. It wasn't the draw claw. It was his version of a flatliner, but from the Gory special. But it's entertaining to watch. But fun main event after what was a fun episode of AEW Dark Elevation. So some good stuff. And the highlights been, of course, being the matches between the Nightmare Factory and the Factory. Hopefully it continues because this week they really proved what they can do. So definitely thumbs up to everybody involved in this week's show. And with that is it for this review. Thank you so much for watching. I will see everybody next time. But until that time, take care.